Hey y'all, it's tomorrow. So we're gonna cook a brisket. I'm gonna show you how I prepare it. And then we're gonna watch it burn for a really long time. And if you saw my last video, you saw that a brisket, you know, if you buy like 15 pounds or a 16-pound brisket, you're gonna lose like half of that. Well, when it actually is done. So you gotta be really careful that when you're buying a 15-pound brisket and you think that half a pound feeds one person, that you know, you're not actually gonna feed 30 people with that. There's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be left hungry after if you do that. So you gotta be careful. Especially like if you really have a good brisket, people are not gonna eat just half a pound unless you're serving it for them. They're gonna eat way more than that. So you gotta be careful that people aren't serving themselves, that you are gonna be cooking for other people. Because they'll easily eat 3/4 or a pound. You know, it's pretty good. We're gonna get into it. All right. So the part of me trimming the brisket, the video got corrupted. I apologize. I'll probably make another video. So I'm using mustard as my adhesive so that the rub sticks on. And that way you can see the adhesive as well, that if you miss some spots, you'll be able to see that. So we're just using half salt, half pepper. And, you know, hindsight, I would have used more pepper. I probably would do a 2-to-1 ratio next time. But you can go pretty heavy on it. And this is 16 mesh black pepper, which is really thick. And it's kosher salt, so it's really thick, so you can get a nice bark on the brisket. $2.75, right where we want to be. If Matthew McConaughey were here, he'd say, all right, all right, all right. Face it a little bit this way. Okay, this is the part we want to protect, but since it's farthest away from the fire, it should cook a lot slower. So at the end of the day, it should be fine. So let's check on the briskies. Turn it around like 15 minutes ago because I kind of want to see the smoke. Kind of makes this. Kind of want to see like the smoke kind of hardens up. Well, that's actually pretty hard already. Maybe it gets a little bit stronger color right here. I kind of want a little bit more color. Then temperatures are pretty much the same, the flat and the point. So it's cooking pretty good. She's looking real cute. Hey cutie, how you doing? You're gonna be wrapped in a little while, okay? A little blankie? You want your blankie to get wrapped? Okay. So we've been smoking this thing for 10 hours. It's been a lot of work so far. And then I just put this foil paper around. So I've seen a lot of YouTube videos, and one very interesting one that I just saw. At Texas BBQ, great channel. He does a boat method. And I want to try it out just because it makes a lot of sense. Sometimes the top, you know, you get a good crust on it, and then when you wrap it, it can get like too soft. So I'm gonna try this boat method and see if it works, and it might retain more liquid than the butcher paper, which I usually do it in. So we're gonna put it back, and it should be done in about 3 more hours, and then we're gonna let it rest for a nice long while, so we can have a nice lunch for tomorrow. So we're gonna check it out and see what I can do. Looking at. So I have the propane tank going at 275, just because I don't want to watch fires anymore, to be perfectly honest. So I'm cheating a little bit, but sometimes you gotta cheat. And once you got a bark, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Propane isn't really gonna get any flavor on it. So it's gonna look pretty good. We'll come back in 3 hours. Done. Like SpongeBob. She's ready. Everything's reading about 203. This is the area that I was really worried about, but it's pretty fine. So all I'm gonna do is cover it in foil and then put it in the oven to let it rest for about 12 hours so it can be lunch for tomorrow or later today. So we've let this thing rest about close to 12 hours, which is what all the big barbecue chains do. And even yesterday when it was done, this was a little bit harder and it kind of softened up a little bit, and I did put it like, before I let it rest, I did kind of put a little bit of its own juices in it. So all we're gonna do now is gonna get into it. But I think resting it, you know, the longer you rest it, I think that the better. You know, usually they're good after resting 2 or 3 hours. Like you can go cut into it. You know, it's very dangerous to, you know, only rest it a little bit, you know, like an hour, because the internal temperature doesn't go down that much. So if you're cutting it 1 hour in, it's gonna be at 190 degrees. And as soon as you cut it, it's gonna look really good, and then it's gonna dry out really quickly just because it's too hot. It's too hot, so you want to let it rest so it can reabsorb all its natural juices and let its like fat break down. So we're just gonna do a nice little video right here. Oh, oh no, don't fall apart. Do you want to do like a bath in your grease? Not too much. Not too much. Not too much. So now we're just gonna cut in a 1/4 thick inch slices, and I've seen other YouTube videos where people cut off this end piece before they cook it so they know how they're slicing it. That's a terrible piece of advice, because that piece right there, those two little pieces, have so much flavor and they have so much bark. And if you're really worried about where the grain is, just turn the brisket around and you can still see the lines. You know, you should be able to see it. Plus, you know, after you cook a lot of these, you'll know just by it being a right hand or a left hand brisket how the grains run. Oh, look at this one right here, because this is where like the point meets the flat. You can squeeze a little bit. Hello, how are you doing? This is just a Costco brisket, 50 bucks, and still a prime. And the test, so the test is always, it should be able to hold under its own weight, right? So if I grab it, but if I pull on it, ooh, it's supposed to come out. This is great. You get a taco. This is just like barbacoa. This is right here, barbacoa. Put a taco, put a little bit of salsa on it. This is really good stuff right here. Then you want to keep it together just because it starts, once it hits that air, it's gonna oxidize a little bit. But it's really good, looking good. And then these are kind of like burn ends, like the sides that kind of burn up a little bit. So these are burn ends. This area on top's like burn ends, so it'll be a little bit crispier. And I don't think it's a big deal. Cut a little bit better, bigger. And then this area is part of the flat. Usually you can just break this off. It's not really that good. It's right here, juice. So great burn ends right here. Just dice them up. Little poppers, little snack. Put them in your grease right here. And then I want to see the center cut. I want to see the center cut. This one you cut a little bit thicker. Oh, that's what I didn't want. We did get a little bit crispy right here. So again, it's not a big deal, but I know for next time I gotta just watch the temperature a little bit better. I didn't spray it at all, so I could have sprayed that area. Yeah, but it's fine. A lot of people say this is like the money shot right here, so you got a lot of fat that you're running down pretty good. Maybe could have done a little bit more. Could have done a little bit more on there. About this is once you slice it like this, I mean, you got like 15 minutes before it kind of like, you know, kind of cools down a lot. You got to start reheating it. So I think that's what separates a lot of great barbecue, is that, you know, a lot of places, if it's a little bit old, you'll taste it right away if it's been sitting down for a few hours. So you always want to cut it as soon as possible. I didn't want to take you know, just even the flat. So the flat, you know, the part's supposed to be dry. The longer you rest it, you know, it still has a lot of juice in there. But a lot of people just make sandwiches out of these. But again, I think the big difference is resting it for that 12 hours. But you always want to account for that when you are cooking. So that's why I started cooking it last night, because I knew I was going to cook it. I was going to eat it today for lunch. I was wanting to rest it 12 hours. So my cook time was 12 hours. My rest time was 12 hours. So I really needed to cook it 24 hours in advance. You know, but you can put it in the warmer. I put it in the warmer and the lowest setting in the oven. So that's what you got to do. But I'm going to take a bite out here. And we use hickory. Oh, it's really good. You get that saltiness that really comes through in the pepper. Again, the pepper, because it was in there 12 hours. It's not spicy at all. It's just
Tastes good. All right. If you like the video, you have any questions, please shoot me a comment. Thanks.